Hello and welcome to the Plaid Sheep Oracle. This is a collective reading. I wasn't sure I was going to do one during this round where I've been taking a card from the Urban Crow Oracle. But this morning it was clear that I needed to, that we needed the message. And certainly I needed the message. I'm absolutely part of this we. So the card that came out for us is Night. "33, first of all, a master number of manifestation. And this is us. We are these crows. And crows have been here, very present in my days this past week. There weren't crows where I lived for a very long time, 20 years perhaps. There was a die-off of crows, supposedly, I don't know, West Nile virus. I don't know if that was the real reason. But in any case, there were no crows here until just a few months ago. And they've returned. And I've really been noticing them. They aren't always present, but the last several days, and yesterday they were on the roof of the building across from me, talking to each other. And although certainly what they were talking about had absolutely nothing to do with me, it was their own family business, the fact that I was present to witness it and that they had this conversation where I could see it and not, a block away, that is relevant to me and to us who are here for this message. And this message of night. That we are in this space. I've been contemplating and thinking about changes that I am experiencing, new ways of seeing things, insights, revelations. This idea of the internal cup. But I also have messages of an external cup that is being offered to me. I just need to take it. And I've been asking, what does that mean? How does that look for me to take the cup? And this message here, although this also contains other things, kind of talks about that. And if you're like me, right, maybe you have an Aries sun or some prominent cardinal sign placements. Well, you want, right, what should I do? Right, that's the question. What should I do? We are a doing culture. And for some of us, doing is really, right, we enjoy doing. It's comfortable, it's fun, even. Although there is also a kind of obligation, right? Shouldn't I be doing something? And the message coming out now is kind of no. At least not unless it's really clear to you. Right, I've had a couple of readings, right, this round, both Gemini and Leo come to mind, where something is being revealed, being hatched, being presented to others. But in those cases, if those readings resonated with you, then you know what that is. You are not in the dark about what it is you should do. You may be reluctant to do whatever it is, but you know what it is that that is the next step in a doing way. But if that's not you, for the rest of us, and even for you in other ways, there is counsel here about not doing. And change is afoot. But not perhaps in our hands exactly. So the other thing that came up was that to go to my big playlist, Oracle playlist, and ask it for a song. And what came up was Calling the Moon by Dar Williams. So I'm only going to read the first stanza. The moon wanted more of my night. I turned off the engine and the headlights. The trees appears as they'd never been gone. I promised the fields I'd return from now on. And the moon kept on rising. I had no more to say. I put my road maps away and surrendered the day. So, yeah. But because Spirit knows that we need a little convincing and a little more exposition, there is this reading, and I know it may look like a lot of cards, but it's not a complex message. So it begins first with strength. Calling to mind, Leo. And, you know, this lion is ready to go, but he isn't going anywhere yet. He is, you know, he may be calling, roaring perhaps, but he's still in this sunlight that's coming in. Or perhaps, I mean, it does look golden, but maybe it's moonlight. We are now in the space, when I am recording this, between the Sagittarius new moon and the Gemini full moon. And there may be something in that for you particularly. And underneath that, we get patience. The card we all hate to see come up in a tarot reading. Oh no, I have to be patient. And then the world, the new world. And then, and I have to show it, is the Ace of Water, the Ace of Cups. So this first row, starting with this Hierophant, this is not us. This is the all that is, or at least not us as we are as human beings. Certainly our wider selves, the aspect of us that is intimately connected with all that is. But this is not our conscious, you know, day-to-day, here and now, human selves. This is the eternal, doing what it's doing. And then I get this card, the Seven of Water, which for me personally often signifies consulting my fellowship, right? That's all hanging out with me through this space of watery consciousness and imagination and spirit and emotion. But now I feel like it's, right, it's the buffering wheel, right? Go do something pleasurable. Watch the fish. You know, make a jigsaw puzzle, play with your children, cook something delicious. You know, start some new crafty project. You know, repaint your bedroom a new color. Take walks, all of these things. because this Six of Fire ship is on the way. It isn't here yet. It's traveling in space, right? It's coming. So just, right, be still. You have everything you need right in this moment. Right, what is there is, right, what's needed just in this moment. Now I know there may be some of us who have, you know, small resources. Maybe it feels like they're running out. And we have fears and anxieties. But this is just in this moment. We are not looking ahead, you know, all the way into next year or months from now. Just in this short space of time, because we're not really talking about a long time. Right? The Six of Fire is not a slow vehicle. I think just, you know, taking into account astrological energies, we're talking about early next year. Mercury turns retrograde at the very end of December. I mean, actually, right, Jupiter's gone direct now. Neptune will turn direct on December 4th. So then and then Chiron soon after, later in December, will turn direct. And then Mercury turns retrograde on December 29th. So at that point, only 3 planets, Mercury, Mars, and Uranus, will be retrograde. And by the end of January, all of those planets will turn direct. So by the end of January, everything in the sky, major, I should say, in the sky will be moving direct. So there is this, you know, this kind of readying energy that is happening, right? There's going to be a little review, right? Mercury's intellectual, mental idea review. And his retrograde is in Capricorn. He's going to meet up with both Pluto and Venus a couple of times as he takes this retrograde. So a review of the physical circumstances of our lives, the 3D, how we see the 3D, what we value, what we want to transform, how we see our own power, how we express our own power. All of that is up for review, but this is not, right, it's not a doing energy, even though it's in Capricorn. This is retrospective. This is a space. Oh, getting ahead of myself. This is a space of the mind. So the Eight of Fire comes next, which is often, you know, a fast-moving energy. There's in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, it's a bunch of wands incoming. But in this card, it's a little, right, it doesn't have that quality. It's more playful, right? This little girl and her fan and the panda. I mean, right, pandas are not, this is not a swift steed carrying her rapidly across the landscape, right? Right? This is like, I feel like these lanterns are just sort of going to pop on one at a time over the next month to 2 months. Right? New information is going to incoming. Insights, revelations, personal decisions made, seeing things about yourself and what you want and what you desire, what turns you on. This is Wands, passion, what we love to do, what we're inspired to do. So those lights are going to come on one at a time, not, you know, in a sudden blaze. And we have then the King of Swords, a gaining of real clarity, real mental stability, clarity, and control. Because that, right, that's really the space of control. We can't, as much as we might like to, control all of the circumstances of our life. We certainly can't control other people and events outside of ourselves. But we can control how we think and what we think about and what we allow into our heads. Right? The King of Swords doesn't allow just anything to, you know, enter his belief space. He is discerning. He thinks critically about, you know, what he encounters in the intellectual sphere. Now, this doesn't mean rigidity of thought, right? That's the shadow aspect, you know, of never changing your mind or allowing new data in. This is being discerning about that. Aquarian energy. Standing on your own firm intellectual footing. And then we get a little bit more zip. There's the Son of Wands. But again, in this Wild Unknown tarot, he's not a knight on a horse. Snakes can move rapidly, for sure, when they strike. But they can also move slowly, right? He's wrapped around this wand, waiting for his moment. And then we get the Tower. And this card has been coming up everywhere, certainly in my own readings. And for myself personally, it's not actually like a tower where everything crumbles. It's an intellectual tower. It's a space, you know, that I need to reconstruct so that it serves my purposes. And there is lightning here, right? Again, the intellectual space, Uranus energy. And this card, the Tower, is usually associated traditionally with Mars. And he is moving through Gemini, another intellectual, mental air space. Thinking patterns, habitual thoughts, mental prisons, mental constriction. And then we get the Eight of Pentacles, and this is showing up here as a reminder that the universe is working. Right? For me, this particular Eight of Pentacles, especially, is about the web of weird, the fabric of the all that is in the universe, right? That everything, right? If you pluck the web over here, it's felt through the whole structure. That all things are ever connected. And it's another 8. 8 is the number of power. And certainly in astrology is the 8th house, the place of mystery, the place of things that are taboo, that we think we're not supposed to think. And then we get the Father of Cups and the Mother of Pentacles. So now we kind of have all of the elements featured in their court card incarnation, and kind of in their most stable kind of space, or the most, I don't know what the word I want is, right? But the Mother of Pentacles, right? Mother Earth, right? Really nurturing energy, nurturing the self, the people around you, creating a nurturing space. And then the Father of Cups, mature, stable emotion, right? We've accepted the cup both within ourselves and the cup that's being offered by the universe, by the all that is. We have this intellectual rigor and confidence, the ability to really think about things clearly. And then the Son of Wands, ready to move, passion at the ready, but not, right, he's not antsy. You know, he's not tapping his foot or his fingers. He is calm. Right, it has a kind of martial arts feel to it, to me today. Right, the idea perhaps of, right, you know, someone practicing a martial art, ready, still for what comes, but without, you know, being anxious or rigid or stressed about it. So then this next row is kind of a little bit about it's a little bit of exposition about what the universe is doing and what it needs from us. So there's this rock, endurance, and this kind of, today, right, it's like a little bit of like a snow globe kind of effect, right, with this plant inside of it, or terrarium perhaps, right, that something is growing. And as yet it's sort of small and contained, but the card under it is this dark matter mystery card. It may look, right, like a tree, right, like trees. You know, they're just, right, they're just out there. You pass them all the time, probably. But, you know, really they're multidimensional portals. Yeah. So this is going on underneath. And actually the wind is underneath that card too. So there's stuff happening. We just don't perceive it. But then, right, when it is fully formed, it will arrive. Venus coming from the sea, fully formed, fully adult, ready to go. And what is required of us is this magnetism, reception. During this space, there will be a time for action, for doing. Right, but what is being asked of us now is alignment. It may be also getting right with Saturn. He's a difficult planet. He often symbolizes the restrictions that we impose on ourselves and that others may impose on us, that we have to deal with, that society imposes. And we can create all sorts of restrictions for ourselves in our own minds around Saturn. Right, the rings are often, people talk about the rings as being a symbol, right, of the containment, right, the constriction that Saturn offers. But it's important to remember that the rings are not solid. They're made of much, right, of tiny bits of ice crystals and dust. And they circle the planet, not because they are constricting it from the outside any more than the moon constricts us. They are attracted, right? It's the gravity, Saturn's gravity, that keeps them there. The attraction, right? And in that way, he's kind of, right, I'm going to skip ahead to the end of this row to this atoms card. Now, we know, of course, that atoms don't really look, right, like this. This is symbolic. But since a lot of, certainly astrology is about symbolism and about how we make meaning, Saturn is like the atom, right? The center, right, the nucleus with the electrons orbiting around it. He is representative of the structure of matter itself, right? And he is ruler of Capricorn. But he's not rigid any more than the atom is rigid. We need structure, right? We need a system for the 3D world to exist. Otherwise, right, it would all just fall apart. But it is not rigid. It is not, ironically, set in stone forever and ever and ever. So releasing that view of Saturn as unyielding and unchanging. Releasing the idea of our, physical existence as unyielding or unchanging. And in the middle there, we have this beginnings card. Also reception, right? Receiving what comes through the portal when it arrives. With enthusiasm. And courage. So then we have just, the sun. And this is the dawn, the Zoria, Slavic goddesses of the dawn. Underneath that, interestingly, the only one in the deck, Fortune upside down, Lakshmi. Right? The force of love, right? Venus energy that wants to be turned right side up. And that too, right, is part of this Saturn thing, because we've stifled Venus. We've, sort of put her in a box with this rigid view of Saturn, turning him into a jailer, both of the Venus principle in our own lives and of Venus energy in the earth, in Gaia herself. Under that, we have Yamana, goddess of water and the waves, with balance, right? This card, 14, temperance appearing again. And as a force of nature. So Here, this Three of Pentacles, this is the tower that we're looking for. Whatever tower we've got now, that's made up of bars and locks and fear, that wants to go away, right? What we want is this Three of Pentacles collaborative tower. Collaboration with spirit, collaboration with with people in our community, our friends, our family. This is the tower that we want to be thinking about now. That in this space, this threshold liminal space that we're sitting in before everything begins to turn again, before this ship arrives, to really think about, right, how we want this tower, this, structure for our lives to look. To really kind of examine everything that we've got in the 3D. Which of these pentacles do we want to keep, and which do we want to leave behind? And then these two cards coming together, this Kuan Yin card, Sacrifice, is the 12 card, the Hanged Man card in this deck. And then there's this Four of Swords. And to me, right, these two cards, right, is about our sleep space, right? The unconscious space. For many of us, this is the easiest place to access, right, for this communication with spirit to occur, is when we're in sleep or perhaps in deep meditation. That may not be true for all of us. There may be some of us that access this space more readily in a waking state, in daydreams. However it is that you find it possible, whether it's, in sleep, maybe you practice lucid dreaming, maybe you do guided meditations or shamanic journeys. This is the space for this. And it is, for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, it really is the time, right? We're moving into winter, which is a, slowing down. Things don't stop, even in nature, completely. Stuff is going on under the soil, right? Stuff is going on, even when we don't see it. But there's a slowdown, a kind of energy here in the winter. And even in summer, certainly there's lots more activity, plants are bursting out, but there is that kind of space, even in summer, of stillness, right? Like on a summer afternoon, sitting in a field somewhere, and there's just the buzzing of bees and the cicada, and there's a kind of stillness, right, in the heat of summer. So all times offer a space of stillness. And so I had to ask, of course, for some extra advice beyond this. Is there extra advice beyond this, because we like that. We like as much information as we can get. And so I'll share it with you. So underneath, the Wheel of Fortune, of course. And this wheel, the loom of, right, the web of weird, the loom of the fates that the universe is working on. And your wider self, your soul, our souls are in on it. This is not some top-down restructuring that's happening without our input. We just don't get to necessarily see it with our own conscious mind unless we really go make that effort. And although everybody has access to this information, to their own wider self, to their soul. This is like anything else. Some people just have an easier time. And, you know, it's just as some people are, you know, more athletic or musically inclined or really good at math, right? Or really good at caring for others, right? You know, I've known really gifted nurses and doctors. Right? We have gifts. And we are meant to use those gifts. And your gift may be really in the 3D in some way, right? You may be that really gifted nurse or artist or chef or architect or carpenter or mechanic, right? You may have a real feel for something in the 3D. And you should not, absolutely not feel bad about that. That maybe it's difficult for you. Maybe it doesn't come easily, connection to this wider sphere. And that's right, that is absolutely okay. That's kind of why some of us are here, right? Why those of us who read tarot cards and do intuitive readings and all of these things, we are here. That is part of our service, is to be that connection to this loom space. And we will give you as much information as we can get and have. Because we know that your work is, you know, vital to life here. But you can learn to hear the voice of your own heart. And you can absolutely tune into that. Learn to just, you know, focus in on that heart space. You know, it may help you to do, you know, to write yourself a letter or, you know, journal things, or perhaps make something. You know, if you're really a hands-on person, making something could bring you insight, right, while you're doing it. So whatever the space is that you do this in, whether physical or in spirit, right, in that everyone, right? Identifying and following this star. And it doesn't even have to be just one thing, this star. It can be a way of moving through the world, right? You may have, you know, 3 different jobs that you do in your life because you like lots of different things. Maybe you change jobs frequently. This is not about a single point, you know, I'm going to be an architect and that's it, forever and ever. This is about the kind of things that make your heart happy. And then we have this 8 of Cups, rebirth, followed by the Ace of Cups, the waters of life. Pay attention to how you feel, where your consciousness goes. Tend that cup inside you so that you are ready to accept the cup that arrives from the all that is. And then this Forest Lovers here with the hand fasting image is about commitment and discipline. because that's sort of the unfortunate thing. Yeah, we do, because we get a lot of training in other kinds of things when we were children, we sort of have to train ourselves in this new way too, and that does require discipline. And the discipline of trust and faith that what we are hearing and listening to when our heart speaks is true. And lastly, right, there's this world tree. And I had another reading, Libra? Was that Libra? I think, about taking the world tree with you. And this is, right, this is about kind of, right, keeping this in sight, right, even in daylight, right? If we think of the night as this consciousness space, connection with spirit, time in the everyone, time in the dream space, time in ritual and meditation, it can be easy, right, to keep that feeling of heart space and of faith and, you know, view of the infinite in that space. But when we step out in the daylight and we go to our job, or we, you know, step into our day, go to the grocery store, we can slip right back into that daily pattern, seeing things from that rigid Saturn 3D perspective. You know, feeling irritated and annoyed with people, getting judgmental about, you know, that person over there who's doing X, Y, and Z. Being annoyed with the other drivers on the road, or with that person standing on the escalator in front of you instead of walking. That person texting as they walk on the sidewalk, getting in your way. And all of these things, of course, you know, have a meaning for us. They, you know, if you're encountering annoyance every day, right, that's things to think about. How are you moving through the world? Can you bring your star and the world tree with you when you move about through your day? And initially, right, it's going to feel awkward and weird. You might not really feel anything initially, right? It takes practice. Every day reminding yourself as you step out the door, this is how I'm going to be. I'm going to see things from a spiritual perspective, from this heart perspective. And gradually, right, gradually that will become second nature. And so this time period, this time of stillness, this spinning wheel, is the time to practice this stuff. Because it's going to be, I think, if you're watching this, if you're part of this particular collective, there is probably, and I don't want to say certainly about anything, but there's probably not going to be any major action happening until sometime in January. Or, right, if you're watching this reading much later, there is a space of time for you before the action begins. So use it. Use it to practice these heart skills. Use it to learn to take your star and the world tree with you everywhere you go. And don't berate yourself or criticize yourself. I feel like I have to say that. If you don't get it right every time. We're novices, we're learning. The all it is not looking down at us critically, but joyfully. Proud of everything that we've ever done. Excited and enthusiastic. If we could say that the all that is enthusiastic, and theos means with God, about everything that we've ever done. And now, right, it's, you know, I feel like this energy of, you know, the parents before they, you know, give a really great, or anybody actually, before they give a really great gift, right? Have you ever gotten just like the most awesome gift for somebody that was absolutely perfect in every way? And then you have this, right, this anticipation before you hand that gift over, and then you get to watch them open it. That is the feeling that I have from the all that is. Anticipation. God, they're gonna love it when they open it. It's perfect. But we just have to be patient and use this time to practice this new way of being. Because when the action starts, it will be more difficult, right? There'll be more things happening. When all the lights are on, it'll be a little bit more difficult. We may get less time in this night space than we have now. So that is the advice. That is the message, my dears. And I hope that it has been of help to you, allowed you to feel a little more relaxed, less antsy in this space, in this liminal threshold space. May we all feel all of the passion of the all that is. And may we learn to hold our own cup and drink from it regularly. I will see you next time, everyone. So long.